everyone, welcome to another Fight of the Night review. This is for the Fight of the Night last night. It was the co-main event at the Vivint Arena in Salt Lake City, Utah, and it was between Paulo Costa and Luke Rockhold in what will be Luke Rockhold's final fight. Not really a spoiler, I think everyone sort of saw that one coming. So, as always, it's down to me to break it down round by round as best as I can, and even though I'm only in a little bit of a rush for this one, I won't lie, this will be a relatively short review, probably. I don't know. I haven't actually made the video by this point, but it will be made by the time you're watching this, so I'll just shut up and get on with it. We start with round one. It starts really strong for Paulo. He's landing some really big shots on Luke initially. Luke is trying to use his defense quite well, and it does seem a bit awkward for Paulo at first because of Luke being a natural southpaw. But yeah, Paulo is able to land the bigger shots early on, and he's interestingly choosing to grapple with Luke, which is not usually a good idea considering how good Luke's ground game is. But yeah, Paulo easily manages to take down Luke, and for the most part just keeps him against the cage, hits him with some really big stuff. There was a moment, I think it's in round two, though, so I'll save that for round two, but he is opening on Luke with some pretty heavy looking hits, and Luke is being stunned. Luke does fire a nasty looking right near the end of the round though, which briefly wobbles Paulo, but not much. But yeah, Paulo definitely has the majority of round one for me. The only moment where Luke really shined is in round one, at least, is when he threw a body kick, and Paulo was like, come on, keep bringing it on, and Luke kept throwing the body kick, and Paulo kept letting him. But it wasn't really Luke winning the round. Even though those were pretty big looking body kicks, Paulo wasn't really wobbled by them. Luke's own nose had been broken as well, so he was breathing through his mouth, which is really bad in an MMA fight. But yeah, round one, very much decisively in favour of Paulo. His wrestling was actually surprisingly good, not something I expected him to do because of how much I'm used to seeing him just blast opponents on the feet. Luke Rockhold looked pretty bad in round one, I won't lie. And we see it like on the stall in between rounds, like he is immediately putting his hands on his knees, he has to be guided to his corner essentially. He's not looking good by the end of round one, and yeah, now round one, I give firmly to Paulo. We then get to round two, and initially Luke actually does start strong. He lands a really nasty looking hand, and lands a good couple more to Paulo, but Paulo is able to recover, he's able to get his defense up, and Luke runs out of energy pretty quickly, and for the most part, this becomes a story thread throughout this round and the third and final round, where Paulo basically just keeps chasing Luke around in a way. Like, Luke is being backed up against the cage a lot, he's turning around, walking away. Paulo does throw a spinning back kick to the head a couple of times to try and get him with that. Luke even throws a spinning 360 kick to the body at some point in round two as well, which looks really cool. I believe Paulo even initiates another grappling exchange. He sort of gets Luke on the ground while they're against the cage. Luke manages to get back up, and Paulo lands a good couple of punches, and one of them looks like it goes to the body. Then he beats Luke up on the ground, and then the referee, Mike Beltran, stops the fight. However, because of how high-angled Luke's body was, the punch that Paulo landed was not to the stomach, but to the bollocks, and it was one of the most painful-looking punches. And commentary was saying something which I totally agreed with, which is the fact that Luke had looked tired. He should have taken the full 5 minutes. He only took about a minute and a half to recover from the nut shot, but he definitely should have taken more time, because again, he was just putting his hands on his knees, even doing it throughout this round. Had his hands on his knees, his mouth was wide open, he was breathing super heavily. He looked like I said this myself watching the fight, he looked like he just didn't want to be in there. And even when they recovered, Paulo did land some pretty good hits on him. And that nut shot was about halfway through round two, and by that, halfway through the fight. But yeah, round two, again, definitely more in favour of Paulo Costa. Luke did look a little bit better, especially in the early going to the round, but Paulo was just opening on him with some really good shots. The nut shot aside, which I do believe was accidental, he was landing some really nasty hits on him, and again, just had the much better looking grappling exchanges. And again, between rounds, Luke just looked puffed out. He was not, like, he barely looked like he could make it to the stall by the end of round two, but we still have one more round to go. And then we get to the third and final round of the fight, and it's very much like the first couple, really, but a lot worse for Luke. Like, he doesn't really throw as much in this one. He's definitely, obviously, way more tired. Paulo is just on him. He's landing some really big shots. Luke is landing a good couple of big hits every now and then, but he's not as consistent with it as Paulo is. I am surprised that Luke is able to stand tall against Paulo, but Luke Even though he does land a good body kick at some point in round 3, I don't know. He shoots a desperation takedown. Paolo counters wonderfully with a sprawl. It's an amazing takedown shot defense. And eventually, I'm trying to think of other things to say about this round, but I really can't. It really was just like Paolo chasing Luke around for the most part and hitting him with big shots. Luke turning around, running away, and trying to get his bearings, and just again looking super tired throughout the fight. And Paolo again manages to take him down after countering Luke's takedown. And there's a good moment where he gets a mount, and sort of has some really good shots on him. I think Luke attempts a guillotine, a really smooth looking guillotine, but isn't really able to sink it in, and Paolo's head slips out. That might have been in round 1, couldn't think of it. But in round 3, near the end of the round 3, of the final round of the fight, Paolo has Luke on his back against the cage, and is opening with some really good hits from the top, but actually no, he's got like a rear naked choke sort of hold throughout the last 2 minutes of round 3. And he's using it mostly as a body triangle to control Luke on the ground. But near the end, literally with about 10 seconds left, Luke manages to turn around and get into full guard on top of Paolo, which the crowd cheers for, because they're an American crowd, even though Luke himself is not from Utah, he's from California. That's besides the point. Yeah, he actually does something interesting, which I've never seen a fighter do before, and because his face was pretty bloodied up and busted, he rubs the blood over Costa's face. Like, he literally puts his face against his and essentially gives him a face nozzle and rubs his blood all over Costa's face. Which, is a pretty effective scare tactic. But it's also the only thing of note that Luke really does throughout this entire fight. And again, to me, Paolo wins round 3, and the judges agree Paolo wins by unanimous decision. Even with that really cool blood thing that Luke did, it definitely wasn't enough to win in the fight. It was kind of cool to see, though, I guess. But now we have to talk about the fight, and I'm really not looking forward to doing that. So right out the gate, this is not going in my top 10 at all. I think it was way too one-sided in favour of Paolo. It's a very memorable fight, which is part of why I couldn't really think of much else to say about it. Literally, only a couple of things of note happened. One was the blood rubbing near the end of the fight, and the other was the groin shot where it looked like the fight was finished in the middle of round 2. But besides that, yeah, Paolo definitely had the majority of it, and Luke retired on what was supposedly, according to Wikipedia and such, the fight of the night, but it was such a bum note for his career. And I get it, Luke's been out for about 3 years. His last fight was in July 2019, so, I thought he retired after that one. But I am glad that he sort of went out like this, and he got the fight of the night and his last fight at the very least. But yeah, Paolo was definitely the stronger looking man. It was way too much of a one-sided fight for me to really even consider including it in my top 10 list. I thought it started interestingly enough, but yeah, no, Paolo just completely stormed it. He looked way, way better. Yeah, I can't really think of much else to add to that. I will say go and watch this fight yourself, mostly just to see how much Luke is tanking, but speaking of Luke's tank throughout the entire fight, he looks super tired. He looks so out of it. He just looks like, again, like he didn't really want to be there. And the crowd reaction wasn't really great for me either. Like, they were cheering Luke a lot and booing Paolo a lot, and the only main reason they had to boo Paolo was the nudge shot in round 2, which again I believe fully was accidental. But that's just me. I don't know. It was alright. It was very one-sided and not really much happened, but it was a fight of the night at the very least. It's probably the nicest thing I could say about it. But go and check it out for yourselves and formulate your own opinions about it. It just wasn't really for me. As for what's next from me, though, probably tonight I might try and finish the Black Let's Play. I don't really know. Well, actually, no, I won't, because I've got my Pickle 2 Let's Play already, uploaded on private on YouTube. I'm just going to make that public, so I'll do that tonight instead. And then on Friday, I'll finish Black. Oh, and thank you to everyone who, this past Friday, watched Harsh Environment as a pay-per-view. It was a lot of fun. Wasn't the longest pay-per-view I've ever had, not even technically the best, but it was a whole lot of fun. And as always, taking a week off until the next PPW versus AEW stuff that will lead to Defy the Gods, my version of WrestleMania. That's going to be really fucking cool. Next thing I can promise will probably be Music of the Week episode on Thursday. And that's only a probable promise, it's not a definite one. So, see you all most likely tonight in some way, shape or form. As always, thank you for watching, you're awesome. Bye bye.